Welcome to Technical Difficulties Wednesday, apparently. I did make a new slide, by the way. What's your Egypt was last week. I made the new one. I must not have imported the new one. That's what I get for having the same slide name for every intro. But no, this week is leading through storms. And we're gonna jump into it this morning. By the way, happy Wednesday to you. Glad you're here. Very important lesson today. Got tons of notes here to my side, so you're going to see me look away here and there. But there's a lot I want to get to because there's a storm coming. Most of you, a lot of you, are in the southeastern United States, as I am. And we have been inundated with news about the coming storm, right? It's even already starting to snow a little bit up in Kentucky. So it's coming. We're going to get a snowstorm or an ice storm. It could be bad. It could be just fun. We could be shut down. We really don't know until it gets here. And if you're like me, you begin preparing. You begin getting things ready. No, I'm not going to go buy all the milk, bread, and eggs and waters and all that. I'm not a panicker. But there are certain things that you do to prepare for the possibility of being stuck in the house, wherever you are, during the storm. And it made me think about something with regard to our leadership, whether it's in our businesses or in life in general. And that is this. We as leaders have a responsibility to help prepare for the storms. You see, storms create uncertainty, they disrupt routines, they expose preparation gaps. And whether it's a physical storm like what we're getting ready to encounter, or it's a storm, a personnel storm, or it is a market storm, or whatever your storm is, the same things get exposed. The same disruptions take place. So I want to go through a few notes that I made this morning about storms. And just to give you a little bit of context, and I'll share some stories this morning, but storms are inevitable. You don't get to go through this life without one. Sorry. That if you don't have that realization yet in leadership, in entrepreneurship, in life, you need to get that now. You don't get to go through life unscathed. So, if we know that storms are inevitable, what can we do? Prepare. Look, leadership isn't proven in calm conditions. It's proven under pressure. And it's not about if a storm comes, but when. And how prepared are you when it happens? Let's use our current situation as an example. Yesterday, I sent some of my leadership team down in Louisiana a message saying, we need to prepare the building for the coming storm. These are the things that happened last time there was an ice storm. These are the things that happened last time there was a snowstorm. And we need to be prepared. Whether it's covers on faucets, whether it's dripping faucets, whether it is putting things in front of doors, whether it is making sure that we have cleared out as much space around our electrical boxes. Whatever it is to prepare the buildings, we have to do it now, not when the storm gets here. So we have to set that tone before the storm hits. Being calm and saying, look, this is coming. We know it's coming. Let's get ready for it. How many of you get hit out of left field with a storm? Put a 1 in the comments if you do. Put a 1 in the chat, but we're not on Zoom. How many of you get hit out of left field and you're like, oh my gosh, if I had just known it was coming? We have to be aware of the potential for storms. Look, the storm that's coming this week, we started hearing about it on Sunday. And it went from it might happen to Monday, it likely will happen, to Tuesday, it is definitely going to happen, to Wednesday, it's going to happen and it's going to be bad. So what are you doing when you're getting those small, it might happen reports about your storm? You see, when there is a storm or when you're preparing for a storm, calm, clear communication, and honesty are vital. If, for instance, let's say there's a winter storm coming like we're talking about, and you have an old building, you know there are probably going to be problems. If you have a roof that's susceptible to caving in when it's overloaded with weight, you got to let people know this is a possibility and we may have to deal with this. Why? Not to scare them, not to make them, but to let them know that you know what's possible, and you're doing everything within your power to prepare. When the pandemic hit back, now 6 years ago, we were caught off guard. But there were some businesses that were prepared for such a storm. The ones that had, and I think about food service, the ones that had multiple drive-through lanes, the ones that already had patios, the ones that said, you know what, we can pivot using this. Look, preparation for a storm is your responsibility. Let me say that again. Preparation for a storm, preparation for a downturn, preparation for a problem is your responsibility as a leader. Just like we stock up supplies before a winter storm, before the snow falls, in leadership storms, we need to build trust before tension, clarify roles before chaos, and create processes before pressure. Look, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. One of the things in the newspaper business for us is that we don't print in our own building anymore. So knowing that our printing facility, our printing partners in a town 40 miles away, there may be an issue by the time we need to print the next edition. And so preparing for what do we do if we can't print there is part of the preparation process. And you can do the same thing regardless of what boat you're in, regardless of what business you're in. If a storm hit your organization tomorrow, would people know where to go and what to do? Let me say that again. If a storm hit your organization tomorrow, would people know where to go and what to do? If they don't, I suggest to you, let's get a process down. Let's let them know. Let's make it perfectly clear. In the case of the winter storm, do you want them driving into work or do you want them to work from home? Do you even have a system for work from home? That was one of the things that we had to learn during the pandemic, because we were also used to coming into the office to do our work. Even though it was possible, we never really embraced it, so it became this whole new thing that we had to learn. Now, we've learned a lot, and now we're in a very good place being able to work remotely and still get the job done. But man, would it have been better if we'd already had that process in place. Look, storms reveal leadership gaps and opportunities. Experience is a fantastic but harsh teacher. So begin to look back at your own leadership journey. Begin to look back at your own career journey. Begin to look back at your own life journey. And what were some of the storms that you came through? Have you learned the lessons from them? And have you implemented the changes necessary or the processes necessary to weather a similar storm now or in the future? You see, your storms expose your weak systems. Your storms expose unclear communication. Your storms expose a fragile culture. Look, just last week, we learned something that we didn't know. It's crazy, but I'm sharing this. We had multiple people out with the flu at one of our businesses last week. And one of those people have an office with a locked door. And for whatever reason, and I can't answer that question, but for whatever reason, that locked door we had no key for. The master key didn't work for it. We have no idea when it was changed, how it was changed. The employee didn't change it. But we needed to get into that employee's office because they had extremely vital things in there for the business to continue. So we had to have that office rekeyed. That is a weak system, not knowing. And in that example, that you could apply it to personal responsibility. Who's going to do it if they can't? You can apply it to, if this vendor can't meet our needs, where can we go for that? These are all things that you can improve upon during the calm times so that when the storms come, you're ready. Look, storms don't just test leadership, they train it. Storms don't just test leadership, they train it. And so learn the lessons of your previous storms as we prepare for the future ones. So I have a few questions for you. You might want to write these down. Number one, what storm am I currently leading through? For some of you, the month of January is a terrible revenue month. And it feels like a storm because the margins are tight, money is tight. It seems like all the annual bills come due. Acknowledge that. What are you learning through this storm? Number two, how am I showing up? Am I calm or am I reactive? If you have a Chicken Little on your staff, and a lot of you do, a lot of us do, how do you respond to your Chicken Littles? If you don't know who Chicken Little is, look it up. The sky's not always falling. And you as a leader have to reassure people that the sky isn't falling. Or you can reassure them and say, yes, you're absolutely right. The sky is falling, but you know what? We're going to survive, and here's how we're going to do it. And number three, what can I do now to prepare my people better for the next storm? Look, this winter storm that we're about to encounter is not the first. In fact, the news came on and many of us were like, you remember when the ice storm hit back in 2000 and whatever? And we think about those things. And we need to think, what did we learn in those things? What were some of the things that we didn't prepare for that we need to prepare for this time? And begin to do that now, because giving direction and preparation builds trust between you and your people. Look, anyone can lead when the skies are clear. Leaders earn trust when the storm hits. So I just want to encourage you. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are coming. And there's a storm coming, and you know it. Take Wednesday and Thursday to prepare. Be clear, be direct, and be prepared. Will you prepare for everything? Probably not. But preparing for most things is better than being prepared for nothing. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Stay safe in the storms, and we will see you again next Wednesday. Don't forget, if you have not scheduled your one-on-one coaching with me, get on my Calendly. I'll post a link in the comments. God bless.